Hello, and welcome to What's Kickin' Columbia, the show featuring Columbia, Tennessee, the southern town with a kick. It's hot, and people are outside utilizing one of Columbia's greatest resources, our parks and recreation facilities. Here's Parks Director Mac Reagan on how you can enjoy all the outdoor options the City of Columbia has to offer.
My name is Mac Reagan. I'm City of Columbia's Parks and Recreation Director. I'm responsible for the overall operation Parks and Recreation Department. Covers 450 acres thereabout, 21 facilities including 3 community centers, and all of our programs that take place within those facilities. Our local parks that have our highest use area is Woodland Park, which we're in today. As you can see, it's a beautiful location. Has disc golf course, which gets abundantly used. We have people that travel from all over in surrounding states. Riverwalk Park, which is utilized by a lot of our programming. We have a farmer's market there. The Columbia Dam has a boat ramp. We do a lot of our programming out of Riverwalk Park, our movies in the park, our musical events, things of that nature. And Fairview Park, which is something that's really exploded as of late. Has our pool, our recently renovated Fairview Community Center, and our outdoor exercise equipment, which is something we just partnered with Murray Regional Healthcare Foundation to put in an outdoor exercise equipment which has just been abundantly used. Overall, our biggest park is Ridley Sports Complex. It's right at 70 acres. We're currently in the final phase, bringing in 7 additional soccer fields, which will have a huge economic impact. Our softball fields, which have been operating since 2011, currently bringing about $6 million a year in economic impact to the surrounding areas. And we have a couple football fields, just over 1,000 parking. It's where our Mid-State Classic takes place, which is University of Tennessee will play another opponent, soon to be announced. And it really brings in a huge economic impact, and we're expecting about $16 million once it's completed per year. Columbia is a great place to live. It's a great place to raise a family. It's a beautiful, friendly environment. Our Parks and Recreation has really made some vast improvements, and we're here to serve you. Or you can go on our website at www.columbiatn.com. You can call us here at the office at 931-388-8119, or you can Google us. We got a Facebook page, easy to find, locate, and it offers everything we have.
The Immortal 600 is not a name familiar to Columbia, but it does have some local ties. Here's Adam Southern with how this piece of history hits close to home.
Hello, I'm Adam Southern, and this is another edition of Historic Columbia, Tennessee. Now, I just was coming home from vacation a few weeks ago, leaving Tybee Island, and I noticed on the side of the road a sign that said the Immortal 600 Memorial Highway, and I thought, man, I am really traveling on the right road because I know who these 600 men are. Today, the Immortal 600 are nothing more than a footnote in the history of the American Civil War. But at the time, these men had reputations that went all over the South, and they became heroes in the months that they were held captive on the Atlantic coast. And it all started in September of 1864. The Confederate commander there wrote to his counterpart, the Union commander, and said, look, I've got 50 of your officers in Charleston right now. They're in our residential areas. So when you bomb Charleston tonight, along with the women and children that are being bombed, your officers are also going to be in the line of fire. And the Union commander, of course, was very upset by this. So he wrote to the Union command in Washington and asked for 50 Confederate prisoners, all officers, to be brought to Morris Island. And he planned to use them as a human shield. But luckily, they were able to work out an exchange, 50 men for 50 men. And they take these men, and nothing more is done about this. But then they hear that the Confederates are bringing 600 more in. They want to do another exchange of prisoners. And General Grant said, no, we're doing no more exchange of prisoners. That's just a way to replenish the Confederate Army. We're not doing that anymore. So unfortunately, these 600 Union soldiers stay in Charleston, and they bring 600 more Confederate officers to Morris Island. And these men are used as a human shield. For about 6 weeks, they are on Morris Island, right in front of the Union guns. And if the Confederate Army wants to return fire, they have to fire into their own men. And knowing this, they still do it, but they aim high. But unfortunately, some of those shells explode prematurely, and shrapnel comes raining down on the 600 men. And every now and then when the Union fires their guns, some of them fall short and go straight through this encampment. But luckily, none of these men die as a result of the gunfire. They are the immortal 600. But what gunfire could not do, sickness did. 3 of the men died there on Morris Island because of the starvation rations that they were on and because of the exposure to the elements, sick and died. Now, after 6 weeks of being used as a human shield, these men were loaded onto another ship and taken to Fort Pulaski in South Carolina on the Savannah River. Here was the worst treatment of all. In retaliation for the poor conditions at Andersonville, the Union Army takes what's left of the 600 and feeds them what they called retaliation rations. It was bad cornmeal, soured onions, everything that was left over, that's what these men were fed. No meat, so they ate rats, cats, whatever they could catch to supplement their diet, but it wasn't enough. 16 of the 600 die as a result of illness and the extreme exposure that they're put through. Several more are paroled, and others, a very small majority, take the oath to the Union and go home. But the greatest majority of these men are left to go back to the prison camp in Fort Delaware where they were taken from. And they stop on Hilton Head Island to stop, rest, and several of the men die there. And then they get back to Fort Delaware where many more die because of the exposure that they were put through on the long trip home. And prisoners that were there in Fort Delaware write about these men looking like skeletons as they were coming back into the prison. And among that number was a man from Columbia named William Alderson. And William Alderson comes back to Fort Delaware after going through all of these hardships, and he dies and is buried on the Jersey Shore. And another Columbia man, Joseph Irvin, who's buried in Rose Hill Cemetery today, he went through a lot of these same things, but fortunately for him, he was paroled in December of 1864. So he didn't have to go through a lot of the retaliation rations that Alderson and the rest of the 600 had to go through. So he survives, lives to a few more years before being buried at Rose Hill Cemetery. So that's the story of the immortal 600, 2 of those 600 being from Columbia, Tennessee. And today a stretch of US 80 leaving Tybee Island is named the Immortal 600 Memorial Highway in memory of the hardships that all these men had to endure. Now, if you'd like more information, go to my website, historicmurraycounty.com, or come see me at the library. Thank you.
The Columbia Arts Building is located right in the heart of the Columbia Arts District, and Holly Freeman is here to tell you how to get creative at the CAP.
Hi, I'm Holly Freeman. I own the Columbia Arts Building. The Columbia Arts Building is a space for community in Columbia, Tennessee. We have a focus on the arts. We have a lot of different entities within the building, maker-based retail. We have a cafe. We have art studios, art classes, fitness space, co-working space, and even more. So on level 1, we have all of our artist studios as well as our classrooms. Artist studios are basically rented month to month. Artists can come and go as they please, but we have photographers in place. We have a print studio. We have multimedia artists. We have a pottery studio.
Hi, my name is Marvin Brooks, and we're here on level 1 at Tracing Print Studios. We just moved in not too long ago, and we're happy to be here. It's such a beautiful environment, people coming in and out. You see, never seen the same person twice. Columbia Arts Building means community itself. I feel like when this building came to what it was an instant click with community. It gives people a place to gravitate towards, and you know, just come and have fun and come explore some new things that maybe you wouldn't have been exposed to before the building came to fruition.
On level 2, we have the Cab Cafe, which is the Columbia's only vegetarian cafe and beer garden, where we serve all Tennessee craft beers. We have Sweet Baked Donuts and Cakes, where she makes her donuts from scratch every weekend, and amazing cakes and cookies as well. On level 3, we have Muletown Collective, which is our co-working space. Co-working is basically if you're at home and you can't get anything done, you would want to co-work. They have Wi-Fi included, they have Muletown coffee. It's a very productive place to get work done. We also have CAB Movement. CAB Movement is our mind-body-based fitness space. We have kickboxing, Pilates, a lot of yoga, like a ton of yoga. It's a lot. We have bar, we have aerial yoga, we have calisthenics. And so we're representing a kind of a different market than your typical fitness gym.
My name is Matthew Brannon. I am the kickboxing instructor on level 3 and the cafe manager. The thing I love most about CAB is the welcoming vibe when you walk through the door. It's very homely, feels very good as soon as you walk through. It's where people come and they get to express themselves in whatever art that they feel most comfortable doing or feel most professional doing.
The Columbia Arts Building is a place where you don't have to be intimidated. I see a lot of cars driving by and they don't come in because it's something that's kind of interesting and different, and they're not sure how. You're very brave when you come in here. Now it's not as threatening, as I think people kind of know what it is. But before, you're in this interesting area of town with basically it looks like an abandoned warehouse because we worked on the inside first. But I kind of love the fact that we had all these people coming in when it was so kind of like, what are they doing over there? And they came in and they were brave and they embraced us. And so if you haven't come in, this is a great time to come in because it's not scary. We're very, very just open. Even with our fitness program, people get intimidated, intimidation free. So you can find out more information about the Columbia Arts Building by going to www.getartsy.org. There we have our classroom schedule, we have the menu for the cafe, everything that's going on with all of the events at the building.
Thanks for checking out What's Kickin' Columbia. To find out more information, please visit columbiatn.com. We'll see you next time.